Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Rudd Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2008 psychological thriller titled Changeling. Now, Changeling runs for 2 hours and 21 minutes long. It is directed by Clint Eastwood. It is produced by Clint Eastwood, Brian Grazer, Ron Howard, and Robert Lawrence. The script was done by J. Michael Straczynski. The score was done by Clint Eastwood, the cinematography by Tom Stern, and the editing by Joel Cox and Gary D. Roach. And the stars of the movie are Angelina Jolie, John Malkovich, Jeffrey Donovan, Michael Kelly, Colm Feore, Jason Butler Harner, Amy Ryan, and Gattlin Griffith. Okay, so let me see if I got this down correctly. This is Los Angeles, 1928, at around the time of the Winesville chicken coop murders. A young boy raised in a single working mother's in a household disappears while he's left at home unattended. Months later, the police, desperate to keep their decaying reputation intact because they're so corrupt, lazily claimed that they found her child. When she confronts them and tells them that's not her child, the lazy asses say she's making this whole thing up. So when she refuses to dismiss the case, the cops end up locking her away in an asylum. So while this is happening, some graphic details involving another child abduction case catches their attention, feeling that the misfired details to the story is more macabre than one's been uncovered. Let me just say this right now. I know that your fans are probably going to throw shit at me by saying this, but I did not enjoy this movie. I mean, if you guys wish to choose to enjoy this movie, that's fine. I don't have any kind of prejudices whatsoever. But this is just my opinion, and I just hope that you guys are not going to be too hard on me by this rant that I'm going to do this week. So if there is any inconvenience, I sincerely apologize. But I just have to say this right now. Why would anyone want to see this exhibition of manipulative cheapness? All it delivers here is just showcasing children's lives being threatened. In a nutshell, all that this movie stems down to is fear-mongering, and the audience is just simply biting into it. From what I gathered, this story was based on actual events, and yes, I admit it is sad that cases like this do happen then and now. However, at the same time, the movie is so one-sided, it's preposterous. Aside from that, the events following this case lack in anything uplifting, energetic, or eye-opening, or any other terminology words that the Oscar hacks like to utilize. Knowing that this movie was actually nominated for 3 Academy Awards is truly flabbergasting, and that also includes Angelina Jolie, who I usually like as an actress, and I think that she was robbed of an Oscar nominee for her performance in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But still, I don't think it really deserved any kind of Oscar recognition whatsoever. This movie fails miserably, and it can't be in no way, shape, or form repaired, no matter what. So here we have Angelina Jolie. She stars as a single mother named Christine Collins. She works as a telephone operating supervisor, and she is definitely one of the best workers on the staff. So, when she gets called into work one fine Saturday and leaves her son Walter, played by Gattlin Griffith, at home by himself, So when she returns home, the boy has vanished. 5 months has passed, and then she gets the news that the cops have found the boy located in Illinois that suitably matches Walter's description. So when she arrives at the station, she is surrounded by reporters and police, and they're just only there just to conceal their decaying reputation because they are such some of the most corrupt fuck-ups that you can ever put on this planet. I just really can't believe that cops like this could be so stupid, so ignorant, so corrupt. It makes my blood boil. I'm sorry to say this, but this movie made me more mad than usual. And usually I don't really fly off the handle here, but this movie was just so exhaustingly painful to endure, it just makes my blood boil. All it is just pure manipulation, pure one-sidedness. And this movie did not make me come out of the movie with a satisfying afterthought. It made me come out with my heart tied up in several knots. It just was just so painful to endure. Everything about this movie. I mean, you can all pander and worship the ground Clint Eastwood walks on because his status is legendary. But I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can. Yes, I love Clint Eastwood. He is a legend. He's been in this business longer than anybody I know. He's been in this business before most of these Hollywood performers had even been alive on this earth. His roots definitely go back in the 50s. He's made tons of movies, from westerns to Sergio Leone stuff. He has gone on to direct a lot of great films, and I have praised him in a lot of the movies that he has directed and has collaborated with. But this movie does not bring anything remotely comfortable in this movie. It doesn't have a satisfying outcome, and in the end, it left me feel very, very, very unfulfilled. I'm sorry to say. There's just really not very much redeeming qualities here. Okay, so I'll just admit that maybe the setting looks okay, authentic. I have no problems with the costumes or the lingo, and the landscape of 1920s pre-Great Depression Los Angeles looked dazzling, and the color palettes were quite impressive. So, I had not really a problem with the technical stuff per se. Angelina Jolie, she embodied, what every mother should feel when they're in a dire situation like this. But why? It's just that the whole idea of making this movie so completely one-sided, it just really, really did not sit very well for me. And this is probably one of the very rare obscure moments where I'm not actually in a feel-good mode here. I'm not really in a bad mood technically per se. I'm not angry at the world. Something did not hit me today that pissed me off. It's just watching this movie is just totally frustrating. I just have to let it out than to keep it manifested inside of me. I know this kind of sounds a little bit self-centered and a little bit condescending, but I'm sorry. This is just my opinion. It was frustrating. So, they reveal the boy to her, but when she sees the boy, she confirms that this child is not Walter. But the cops, knowing they goofed, still insist that Christine take the child anyways. She then tries to take this case even further with the chief of police, Captain J.J. Jones, played by Jeffrey Donovan, a guy who I know I'm supposed to restrain myself. That's what they taught me in anger management. But this is a guy I just really wish I could just wring his neck because he is so fucking stupid, so fucking corrupt. Ah! Every time his presence come on that screen, I just want to rip his head off. Not Jeffrey Donovan. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he was quite convincing in his role. Like I said, I have no problem with with the performers. I got no problem with them at all. But I do have, but it's just the character of Captain J.J. Jones. He just, every time he appears on screen, he just makes me sick to my stomach. Oh, so frustrating, this movie. So frustrating. And he even says that even though the proof that the boy they found was not Walter, being to the fact that this imposter, whose real name was Arthur C. Hitchens, is 3 inches smaller than Walter. And when he came out of the bath and she dried him off with a towel, she noticed that his testicular fortitude has a little bit of some skin snipped at the tip. Then she knows for sure that this is not Walter Collins. And she's not the only person who notices that this imposter child is not Walter Collins. But they still insist that he is. And they come up with some more and more illogical explanations and more sad, pathetic excuses to say that this kid is not is indeed Walter Collins, when really Angelina Jolie has told him that that's not Walter Collins. The teacher also said that the strange behavior that this kid is not anything Walter Collins like, the traits. His dentist also said something about his teeth that also convinces that this kid is not Walter Collins. But they still insist that this boy that they found in DeKalb, Illinois, is Walter Collins, just so that they could appease their decaying reputation. Really, really aggravated me the whole time through. And if that's not enough, they eventually end up pleading Christine for being insane, so they locked her up into an asylum. Just because she was trying to make claims that this boy is not Walter Collins. So they say she is unfit, she is delusional, she is off her rocker. So they think she's insane. So without any kind of jurisdiction or any kind of approval, they just locked her into an asylum. Oh. Normally I don't act like this in front of a movie. A lot of times I'm a very calm man. I am a very patient individual. And I don't mean to fly off like this. And in any way, shape, or form, I like to give my sincere apology for ranting like this. I don't want anybody to think that all of a sudden I've become this fly off the handle person. But this movie really did frustrate me, and it angered me, and I just want to let it out of my system. So if I scared or intimidated anybody, my sincerest apologies. Let me continue my rant. And I'll try my best to stay as calm as possible, okay? So, while she's in the asylum, she is befriended by an inmate by the name of Carol Dexter, played by Amy Ryan, who instructs her on getting by in the loony bin. Meanwhile, on her side, she's not. She, like I said, she does have some supporters in there. Like as I mentioned, Walter's school teacher who notices that this imposter child shares none of the traits that Walter possesses, and his dentist also discovered that the formation of his teeth also does not match those of Walter Collins. But still, these fuckers from the LAPD who are so stupid still claim to believe that the boy that they picked up in DeKalb, Illinois was really Walter Collins when he was just an imposter. And they made all kinds of excuses like, oh, he may have changed in 5 months. Bullshit! Kids don't shrink in size as they get older. Kids' teeth does not change as they get older. Even his handwriting, they claim, did not match that of Walter Collins, or even his mannerisms, or lack of, as so as the case may be. So meanwhile, on her side, there was a local reverend by the name of Gustav Briglab, played by John Malkovich, who on his radio station often opposes the corruption of the LAPD, and he actually stands by Christine's case. And not all of the LAPD are stupid fuck-ups. There is actually one that actually does yearn my sympathy to, and that was a character by the name of Lester Ybarra, played by Michael Kelly, who makes a grisly discovery involving a tip about several missing children who were abducted by a young Canadian criminal. You know, okay, this was based on a true story. And I won't put this down too much by saying that the intentions were bad. The intentions were good. It's just really sad to see. And basically the anger inside of me is just a cover-up to the more sad, grim realities that was faced at the time period, and it's still going on as we speak. And I guess it will continue on forever. The movie is clearly every mother's worst nightmare, or every parent for this matter. When we go to the cinemas, we want to be entertained and thrilled, and to sort of just chase our troubles and our insecurities away. So why do we need to watch a movie where real events like this one could happen to anyone at any time? Why? Why, Eastwood? What makes matters worse is that it is so surreal to actually think the cops, even back then, would be so corrupt, so stupid, so uncaring, that it makes this true story feels as though the production never once took this subject matter very seriously. It just never felt convincing. Like I said before, I have no vendetta against Clint Eastwood. And yes, Angelina Jolie did quite well in her respected role and had the emotions accurate as to how any mother would react when faced in this dire situation. But the film is quite suffering and extremely fucking painful to watch. And so then when the final credits roll, there was no justice that truly prevailed. No feel-good moments were delivered here, and it took a ton of excruciating frustrations for common sense to finally get through. And then some important details could have been utilized to good effect were thrown out the window, like why didn't they question the neighbors who were supposed to check up upon Walter? that could have been a potential lead, but they neglect it because common sense was nowhere to be found in this movie that deals with some very important issues, and it just was not treated with the proper respect that it deserved. After all is said and done, the after all is said and done, Changeling is 2 hours and 20 minutes of torturous manipulation that took a serious story and made very little progression to make the story anything enthralling. But when all is said and done, if I was to give this movie a scale out of 10, this may piss off a lot of viewers, but I have to give Changeling a 4. I just can't recommend it. That's just my opinion. If any of you guys enjoyed the movie and liked it, the more power to you. I don't bear any kind of disrespect. I don't bear any kind of prejudice. You guys all have your opinions. I have mine. And let's all respect each other's opinions. Everybody just looks and sees things differently. So please don't let my rant upset anyone. But this was just how I felt. This is just my opinion. You're all entitled to yours. To each their own, as they say. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. Just remember, be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any kind of rude comments. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Red Rider saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.